Welcome to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Show podcast. And now, here's your host, Ron Donahue.
Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. This is your host, Ronald Donahue, after a long hiatus. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Horror and Fantasy Show podcast. Tonight, this afternoon, late afternoon, I keep saying tonight, late afternoon, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Mario Lazo.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Ms. Gigi Garcia.
Hey guys, happy to be back.
And wow, I feel bad now. And and Mr. Jeff McIntosh.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, so folks, it's all my fault. I'll take full responsibility. I always late to the party. I ended up having COVID at the very end of February, and actually the night we were going to do our show, I texted everybody like, nah, we got to cancel, maybe next week. But I didn't know at the time that I actually had COVID. And it wasn't until that like following week I went to urgent care because I was feeling so terrible. And I'm thinking they're going to tell me, oh, you have strep throat or something. They're like, nah, you got COVID. I'm like, oh my God. So it's been weeks of like coughing and hacking and just a nightmare. So it's my fault, all the missed weeks of shows. So blame everything on me.
Boo, and it's all your fault.
And hopefully, with these upcoming shows, we'll make up for some lost time. Actually, and another thing too, the show's going to go on. I'm going to actually be out again next month. But Miss Gigi, I'll leave her in charge with my Jeff and Mario, so they can continue on with the show. And I'm sure you guys, you're not going to miss a beat. I'm sure the episodes are going to be just as good as always until I can, a couple weeks until I can come back. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive in. So
this will be our chance, Mario.
I came across an article from Bleeding Cool that's saying that Dark Horse Comics is getting ready to make a Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel that's supposed to come out this year in 2025. The premise is it's set 7 years after the original movie. The plot of the story is, I guess these are the two people that we saw in the original film. Janet Weiss has fallen into a world of sin and vice. But when Janet receives an invitation to a cabaret bar by ex-fiance Brad Majors, she finds Brad has been keeping some secrets of his own. Who is Bridget von Frankenstein? I saw the original movie, the original musical. It's okay. I mean, for me, it was okay.
Wait. The original, you had to go with a raincoat and umbrella. It was a show that you interacted with. So you didn't.
Right.
I experienced that one time. Will they be able to recreate it? Huh?
You actually did?
Yeah. How old do you think that movie is? It's kind of old. So,
I know it is.
Yeah. So that all the folks in high school, when I had fun at 11 or usually showed at 10 or 11, and some of them were were a bit snockered, but we had a blast. I mean, they threw water at you. Was it? I can't remember now. Was it with water guns? But I remember where we saw it. It was in a theater in Grand Avenue and Coconut Grove. But it was a blast. And mind you, like I said, it was shown late at night. I think it was the last showing, 10 or 11. And it was a blast. It was very interactive. When you said that they're going to, and I read that they're going to do a remake, I'm going to go, I don't know if it'll follow the same philosophy that the original did, which was later.
Well, it's a sequel. It's a sequel, Mario. Okay. So it's actually, like I say, it's taking place 7 years after the comic book series. It's not it's just a comic book series. Okay. It's taking place 7 years after the original story, but it still has the original characters, Janet Weiss and Brad Majors, in it.
Okay.
So I guess it's just like a sequel, a comic sequel that they're doing. And you're right. The original movie came out in 1975.
Right. Yeah. It was a blast. I mean, okay, and kind of like the question that you asked about in Woot, will folks understand from the original one? And I understand it's a sequel, but will they also, when they bring it out, will try to create the same environment? Because, like I said, it became very interactive, and
I think that what might happen, depending on how they market it, I think that possibly it could probably turn some comic book people who maybe have never seen that original film to want to go back and watch the original film. I'm sure it's going to be written in a way that anyone who didn't see the film will still be able to enjoy the comic series. Yeah. You know what I mean? So what do you think about this, Jeff? I mean, coming out with a comic series as a sequel, since there's never been a movie sequel, what do you think?
Well, I'm the virgin here.
Okay.
First off, actually, Rocky Horror did have the sequel. It was called Shock Treatment, come out in 1981.
Is that right?
That is right.
Wow.
Would I lie to our viewers?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'd lie to you, Gigi, but I have the impression a lot of guys lie to you. So.
Yeah.
Are you sure, Jeff? I'm reading this. This is something different. I'm reading it. It says the overview for Shock Treatment. It says it's a musical comedy, but he says the overview, Square, Brad, and Janet. Oh, it is the same people.
Well, it says it's a follow-up, so not an outright sequel, so I was wrong about that.
It says they're forced to be contestants on a TV game show called The Marriage Maze. Okay. Anywho, tell me, what do you think, Jeff? I mean, is it a good idea that they're coming out with this comic series?
I have never seen the movie. I mean, I'm overall familiar with it, and Meatloaf was in the original movie, and Tim Curry, and I have never seen it aside from like Time Warp. Mm-hmm. You know, I've seen the clip for Time Warp, but the whole movie, beginning to end, never seen it. I've never felt the drive to go to the cinemas when it's being shown for the interactive. None of that. Mm-hmm. So, a comic book to me, I'm just going to kind of be on the, it's not going to be anything that I would want to read.
Okay.
And everything's a comic book series now, even like with movies. So.
Yeah. So what do you think, Gigi? I mean, does that sound like anything? I mean, have you ever seen the original film?
No, I have not, but it feels like a cash grab, no? Like, if it's going to be a comic book, what do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know. Again, I think, to me, what's happening with a lot of different properties now, I think that they might just be trying to introduce a whole new generation of people to some really great properties, I think that's exactly what's happening even right now with, we talked about it, a few weeks ago when we were talking about Universal. That I said who was that? Is it Dark Horse or Image Comics? One of those. Each one of them is coming out with, it already came out with different series of each one was a 4-part series, comic books. They had Dracula first. Then they had, I think it was Frankenstein next. Then they had The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Then they're doing the Mummy series. I'm hoping they're going to come out with a werewolf one. But I think it's maybe just possible, not so much maybe a cash grab, as those were really some very good movies and stories back then that possibly you can introduce a whole new generation to those stories. Like when we were talking about as well, we know that they're doing a remake for Forbidden Planet. Now, again, most people, and I say younger. So when I say younger folks, I'm going to say maybe 30 and younger. Anybody below 30, unless you're like a diehard sci-fi fan, probably has never even heard about it, that movie. But because they're going to be doing a remake for it, it's going to introduce a whole new generation, and hopefully they do a good job, to this really cool property. Whereas now they might go back and like, okay, let me go watch the original. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking more I'm thinking more on the lines of that. I saw the movie. It's okay. I'm telling you, I'm not really into musicals, to be honest. From someone who just went to go see Lion King last night, I am really not into musicals. I can tell you at all. But I don't know. Like I said, maybe it might breathe, new life into an old property. I mean, maybe I'm thinking that way is more than a cash grab. Because think about this, Gigi.
Okay.
No matter how many book comics they sell, they're not going to make as much as they would if they made a movie.
Yeah, no, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we'll see what happens with them. Okay, so now let me go into this. I got to tell you guys. Everybody was asking me because I was out of work. The first week I was sick, I was out of work. I wasn't answering the phone. I said, "Don't even call me." I was just home resting, being in misery. But I did in that time while I was home watch some different movies. So I watched Kraven the Hunter.
Ooh, okay.
I thought, you know what? I think Sony's. Because I heard like overall, they're like, man, that was like, I think the coffin for the nail in the coffin for Sony villain movies or what have you. Since the other ones are like just, I mean, their movies are just terrible.
Yeah, like Mobius.
But I'll say this: if they had not called that movie Kraven and not tried to make it seem like this is the same Kraven from the Spider-Man universe, the movie was okay. I mean, I really thought it was okay. But the fact that they took his character and made him into something that was completely different than the comics, because in the comics, he's just a guy that goes around, he's a hunter. Supposed to be the world's greatest hunter. He doesn't have any superpowers or anything. But now, and it's so stupid. For any listeners, I'm gonna give a couple spoilers because I'm venting now.
Okay.
The way he gets his powers is because this lion that so many people tried to kill, it got shot, and so he was attacking Kraven when he was young, and a drop of lion blood, I guess, gets into his wound, so now he's got lion powers. I'm like,
what?
Oh my God.
That's
dumb.
it's
like, you know what? I mean, that was like one of the dumbest part of the movies, but again, I think that was just their mistake. I think, first and foremost, Sony needs to get out of the superhero film industry.
Oh,
really, it's not working. It really is not working for them. I mean, I know their movies are tanking. The what was that? Madam Web was like a disaster. I can never get through that movie because I always fall asleep on it.
Ron, let me ask you though. Live action superhero films.
Who?
Live action superhero films. Like Sony should stay away from live action because their animated stuff is pretty good. You know?
I don't think I've ever. Okay, right. You're right. Let me. You're right. You absolutely. Let me correct myself. Right. The Into the Spider-Verse movies are the only Spider-Man movies I love.
Oh, maybe.
Those are some great movies.
They're my favorites. Ugh.
Right. So I give you that. But the Kraven, like I said, just if they just had not made it like seem like it was the same character from Spider-Man, it might have been, call him, Joe the assassin guy, or I don't know. Anything would have been better, but it just, I don't know. Did any of you guys see it?
I have not.
I saw it. It's on what streaming service?
Kraven. It's on Amazon.
Okay, yeah, I think I was seeing what they had, and I think I saw it. I can't remember if it was yesterday or Thursday. I can't remember Friday, but Thursday or Saturday, and I said, "Oh, I'll watch it," but Okay, a day has gone by or 3 has come by, and now that you mention this one, I remember, but maybe I'll watch it tonight. I don't know. Now that you gave your review, I don't know.
Yeah, it's put it like this. It's watchable. It's watchable. It wasn't. I'm not going to say it was a horrible movie, like, because I know people are like, oh, it was horrible. It wasn't a horrible movie. It just, like I say, I think if they wanted to, they first, just like I say, just Sony, other than the animated stuff, just get out of the superhero Marvel villain, just completely get away from that stuff, man, because their stuff is trash.
So it's better than Madam Web.
Oh my God! Let me tell you something. If you gave a 4-year-old a camera and told him do a 2-hour movie, I promise you that would be better than Madam Web.
No way.
Madam Web was. I'm telling you, I watched it the first time and I fell asleep on it. So then my wife was like, "Okay, watch it with me," because I've never seen it. I said, "Okay." I fell right asleep a second time watching that movie. It is terrible movie. Terrible.
Gosh.
Okay, so now. Which one do I want to go next? Okay. I was so disappointed. I was truly, truly disappointed with Wolfman. Now, I know they keep, I don't know what's wrong with Universal. They keep talking about this dark universe at their theme parks, which is supposed to be amazing. I've seen some of the animatronics they have, which are some of the most advanced animatronics that have ever come out before. And they do look top notch. Doesn't mean that the ride's going to be, but at least, in the previews, they looked really, really cool. Wolfman, I don't even know why they called it that. Because, again, another spoiler, folks, if you haven't seen it. That was so lame. It is nothing like, I don't even know why they called it that, because it's not even in the same vein or line as any of the original Wolfman movies. It's more like human rabies is really what it is more than anything else, because it has nothing to do with the full moon. You kill them with silver. It just, oh my gosh. That was a real disappointing movie. It was so, so disappointing. Did anybody see that?
I didn't.
Jeff?
No, I've seen the trailer for it. I've seen the makeup, and it was like,
yeah.
I can keep my $15 in my pocket.
Absolutely. Mario, you saw it?
No. I said I'm going to pass on it.
You please do. Trust me. Wait till it comes out on TV, man. It was. I can't even stress how disappointing that movie was. It nothing even in the ballpark of a werewolf. Okay, so then I saw another movie that just came out recently called Heart Eyes. Basically, a story about a serial killer that goes around in this universe. This is so bizarre, but in this universe, every Valentine's Day, people got to be on the lookout, because Heart Eyes goes after couples and kills them on Valentine's Day. Now, as dopey as it sounds, the movie was okay. And this is the best description I can give it to you. If Hallmark movies decided to make a horror movie, this is what it would be.
Oh my God.
Really, everything was just so clean. The town was so clean. Everybody was just perfect. In the Hallmark movies, everybody, even the mailman owns a mansion. You know what I'm saying? So even in this story, all the characters had these really nice apartments and nices overlooking the city, and it was all right. It was okay. I'm not going to spoil it. The premise has been done before as far as the killer is concerned. There's been other movies whereas in similar things have taken place where you think it might be one person and it might be more than one person involved. So I'll leave it at that as a clue. But it was okay. So if I had to give it on an alphabet scale, Heart Eyes, I'll give it a B-. It was okay. So then the last one I saw, I saw this movie called Bagman that came out last year. So the story about Bagman is some type of monster that goes after kids, in that if he sees a kid for whatever reason that he wants, he's going to follow that kid around until he can eventually get him and stuff him into he has this big bag with a big zipper on it. And then once he sticks you in that bag with the zipper, you're never seen again. Right. So you have this town where all these kids have disappeared over the decades or whatever because the bag man got them. And it was like the bag man was supposed to live. There was this lumber yard that was on the top of, like, I guess you can sit kind of like a mountain or something. So at the bottom of a mountain, there was like this, I think it was a stream or something, or river. But then there was like these caves where the bag man was supposed to live. So of course, the bad behind kids, parents that don't go down there. Of course, they want to go down there investigating, and then one thing leads to another. Bagman was okay. It was all right. It had a twist on the ending that you didn't expect. So I mean, if I give it I'll give Bagman I'll give it a B- too. It was okay. So, other than Kraven Kraven, you can watch Kraven. Just don't watch The Wolfman. The Wolfman was a waste of time. Don't
All right.
trash
Noted.
me. So yeah, that's what I did while I was sick. Between coughing and hacking my lungs up, I was able to watch a few movies or whatnot. Okay, so let's move on. And actually, before we do, I wanted to bring up something. So you all, to our listeners, I mentioned this earlier. I was talking with my co-host about this. Amazon has another website called Woot. And basically, I hope what Jeff Bezos hears this and throws some cash our way. He throws it at other people. They have another website that's like Amazon, but it just has like other items, electronics and things with like really deep discounts. Unlike Amazon, you can't search for things. You just click on categories and you can order. Matter of fact, even if you order on there, you can use your Amazon account to order stuff. Okay. That wasn't the whole point. The whole point is every week they usually have some type of survey that they ask the different people who visit their website. And I thought it was kind of interesting. I saw this survey. It was probably about 2 weeks ago before I actually got sick. And the question was, it asked the people, do you get excited about superhero movies anymore? And the numbers was what really was kind of shocking to me. 28% of the people said yes, and 72% of the people said no. So I don't know. That's just one website. I didn't follow up to try to see any other, surveys or anything like that of what people think. But from that alone, what do you all think? Do you think this is an indication overall what, I guess people are thinking about? I mean, we've had decades now of these different superhero movies with more coming out, more lined up. Marvel had their time in the limelight. DC's getting ready to start off their whole series of movies. So what do you think? Do you think that the days of superhero movies are coming to the end? And if so, if people are thinking like that, what do you think it's going to mean for the box office with all these new, superhero movies that are up and coming? What do you think, Jeff?
I still like watching superhero movies.
Okay.
I will go to see. I would go to see an Underdog movie, and for people who don't remember Underdog, he was
Shoeshine Boy.
Yeah, yeah, he was a super powered beagle back in the 60s. And actually, there was an underdog movie that I think Disney did about 10 or 15 years ago. But
It's
but
trash.
it wasn't. But I digress. I would go to see any superhero movie just because I grew up on superheroes. I grew up on the Hanna-Barbera Space Ghost and the Herculoids and Mighty Mightor and all that stuff. I read comic books. I watch Invincible on Amazon Prime. So I'm still a superhero sucker.
Okay.
But I would want to look at the surveys. How representative a sample do you have? What kind of ages are you talking about? And really, you're talking about a survey that only measures responses from people who use this particular offshoot of Amazon services.
That's true.
So how accurate is it going to be? I mean, it's not like it's a poll done by API,
Reuters,
for example.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? I'll watch any goofy, stupid superhero movie, and then I can come back and say, "Oh, there was 2 hours and $15 that I blew." But
right,
it's better than watching a Hallmark movie.
Oh yeah. What do you say, Gigi? I mean, true. Just like he said, this is just a small representation. It's only coming from the people on this website. But overall, what do you think is the overall attitude? Do you just from people or from what you heard, or do you think people are getting tired of the superhero movies, or if they're not being, are they being? You think they're getting tired of them, and do you think that that's going to, in some way, shape, or form, have some kind of effect on the line of superhero movies that are about to come out?
Oh, it's definitely going to have some kind of effect. I'm going to give some personal experience. Well, there's a term called superhero fatigue. I don't know if you know what that is, but essentially it's, we're talking superhero movies. We keep getting a bunch. Like, there's a lot lined up. Marvel has been releasing hot garbage lately, and Sony. Remember, we just mentioned their live action stuff being hot garbage. It's just I'm tired of superhero films, or just superhero things in general. But that until like Invincible came out. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I know Jeff said it.
It's great.
It's amazing. Like, I really love season 3, and I want to say like the new Captain America kind of opened my eyes on the superhero fatigue thing because I was going through it until I saw that movie.
Okay, we're going to let you, you know what, Gigi? We're going to let you review that in a minute.
Okay.
But as far overall, do you think that if this is not just like I say, that this is just a snapshot right here from this one website, but if in fact this is really something that is across the map, across the country, that or worldwide, because these movies come out everywhere.
Of course.
Do you think that this is an indication that maybe some of these big names, because we know the biggest thing that's going to be coming out for DC in the next couple of months is Superman. Do you think that this fatigue is going to it's going to really affect the box office for this movie?
1,000% yes. It's going to affect it really negatively. I'm going to be honest. Like, people on TikTok and Twitter, they're just done with superhero movies.
Okay.
It's a real
What do you say, Mario? What do you think?
Well, me and my ideas about sometimes they try to rehash. I'm open to see a new movie. Okay. Generally, I set out my feelers, amongst you all here, if the movie was good or bad, and then I'll pick a position. In general, like you said before, Marvel spent how many? Close to 20 years. And
20 years?
Yeah, and bringing out their movies, and I'd say they had maybe a 95% success. Maybe I may be forgetting some of their bad ones, but I'm waiting to see what DC comes out now. The last Batman was I enjoyed because it was dark, and we'll see what happens with them here in the next 3 or 4 years. You made mention before about the Fantastic Four, and you know how I feel about the Fantastic Four. Until they get the fifth or the sixth one, maybe it'll hit. So I'm hoping this one will work out. They need to pump some life into their world. So, like I said, I'm open to hear. And if it sounds decent, okay, I'll go watch it. And you know me, it doesn't matter to me because I spend $23 a month to see whatever movie, a week, 3 movies, I think. So am I hopeful? Yes, but what is the term that I use? I'm not a pessimist. I'm not an optimist. I'm a realist. So
I agree.
That's what they bring out, and hopefully it'll succeed.
Okay, we'll see. I agree.
Percentage, it's kind of like folks like me. Before we used to run to go see, remember in the 80s, it was the Superman movies, with Christopher Reeves and the Batmans in the late 80s, early 90s. And then it was Marvel's turn, for these 2 last decades. So, let's see what happens. And then I'll either yay or nay on that questionnaire on Woot.
Agree.
If you think superhero movies can be bad here, I saw a clip from a Indian superhero movie with
Indian Superman with the Spider-Man girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you got it. It's insane. And then Superman, it's so funny. Superman, so he has a Superman costume on, and he got he has these black ankle boots on. It's so funny, man. It's so funny.
Oh,
it's next level. And they start dancing, Oh man, come on. You haven't seen. You have to see the Indian Superman. And have you all ever seen the Indian Michael Jackson Thriller?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't know what you're missing, Gigi. Yeah. So look up Indian Michael Jackson Thriller, and then Indian Superman.
Okay.
Yeah, it's next level.
Spider Woman. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's Ugandan Spider-Man. I will show you guys later. It's hilarious. I've seen. Who was the one I did see before? I saw. I don't know if it was Uganda, but I saw maybe it was Indian Spider-Man. That was a good one too. That was pretty funny. Yeah, that next level. Anywho, we're getting off subject. So that's going to roll right into our next topic. It appears that we learned a few weeks ago that Daniel Craig had dropped out, decided he wasn't going to be part of the upcoming DC Sergeant Rock movie, but it's come out that Colin Farrell is now in talks to play that role in the upcoming Luca Guadagnino directed film. So, I mean, they said they were going to move ahead, even though Daniel Craig decided he wasn't going to be. They already said that they were going to move on. So what do you guys think? Colin Farrell, I think, is an amazing actor. I think he's great. Does he have the build, though?
You know what? I don't even think now, because look at how they transformed him into the Penguin. You know what I mean? I think with prosthetics and everything, I don't think it even really matters anymore. I think that they've gotten so good with that stuff, they can make you look like anybody. You know what I mean? But that's my opinion. What do you think, Gigi, that now they'll take him on to play Sergeant Rock in this war movie?
I mean, I'm not really familiar with the actor, but you said he was in Penguin, right?
Right. He played Penguin on you remember in the Batman, the last Batman movie that came out, and then, he had his own TV series.
Right.
Right. He doesn't look Colin Farrell. If you didn't know that was Colin Farrell, you wouldn't know who it was that was playing him. That's just how realistic it looks. It looks absolutely nothing like him at all. Colin Farrell looks nothing like him at all.
Well, then I'm on board then. If he's a great actor, and honestly, I've seen clips of Penguin. Yeah, I'm for it.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you before I'm gonna go to Mario. I'm gonna tell you about that Penguin series. If you want to watch it, take Batman out the equation.
Okay.
That is a straight up gangster series. That's what that is. With just a Batman character. I mean, that is a raw gangster like mafioso type series.
Right.
Yeah, that's take Batman out of it. Seriously, you didn't even have to call it Penguin.
Like a superhero Sopranos almost.
Yeah, Sopranos without the superhero. Yeah, it's raw. What do you think, Mario? Colin Farrell playing Sergeant Rock in the upcoming movie.
You remember, I'm a big Rock fan, Sergeant Rock, and been following him since the 70s. He's a great actor. That I've got to give him credit. I mean, he was a Penguin. He's been in a lot of movies that I've seen and I like. Total Recall. Oh, what's the one? SWAT. He's been in a lot. Yeah. Oh, Miami Vice. He can portray a good actor. He is a good actor. He's a great actor.
Right.
And like you said, they can dress him up and he'll fit that mold, because he's very versatile. Right. So, I'm hoping, like I said, that it turns out to be a good movie. Regardless of what anybody says, I'm going to go see it, because I'm a big fan of Sergeant Rock. So I'm down, Colin, hey, good luck to you. And I think they have to make a decision here shortly. I think before the 6th or something like that, I was reading after you said that on the email. And so, they have to come up now quickly, the decision. So I'm hoping they start cranking it out, start filming.
Absolutely. What do you say, Jeff? Colin Farrell stepping in for Daniel Craig to play Sergeant Rock.
Well, I remember him from Daredevil where he played Bullseye.
Okay. Yeah.
And we all know how well the Daredevil movie did.
Right.
He also played Jerry Dandridge in the remake of Fright Night. And,
that's true.
We all know how well that movie did.
Okay.
So it's a war movie. I do not see war pictures unless there's, some kind of supernatural element or monsters in there. Think something like Shockwave from the 70s.
Okay.
But straight war movies, no. They don't do anything for me. So I don't watch them.
It's possible. I tend to believe that, they had a bunch of different war series and even back then they did have the supernatural because they had the haunted tank.
Yep.
And they crossed paths with Sergeant Rock, in over, in different comics at different times. If it's not, I don't think it's going to be the main thing in the movie, but I do believe if nothing else, we might just get a cameo or something. I don't know I haven't read anything. They haven't given a synopsis or anything of the plot about this movie other than we know who he is. We know it's probably going to be, of course, during World War II, but we don't know anything else about it. I'm all for it. I'm trying to figure how they're going to make a World War II superhero movie, but not so much a superhero, from a comic book hero, but it'd be interesting. We'll see what happens. I had to throw this in there. I'm going to ask you guys' opinion.
Okay.
Have you all seen what they've been doing within the past few years? And especially now since the original Mickey Mouse has lost his, what is it? Is it the copyright? Copyright, right?
Yes.
Yeah. They're taking these characters and they're making all kinds of so originally they started off with Winnie the Pooh.
I was just going to mention that.
Right. They took Winnie the Pooh, made it into like this horror movie.
And it was awful.
Right.
It was awful.
Right. Then they did a sequel, the Blood and Honey sequel. They did a Mickey Mouse one, which was trash. You know what? Go see Werewolf instead of that Mickey Mouse horror one. That was so bad. I mean,
don't tell because you hated that one. That original.
It made no sense. I mean, really, just no sense at all. That movie was so bad. So then I read today. They're coming out. This is coming from Bloody Disgusting. They're coming out with a Popeye horror movie.
You've got to be kidding me.
It's called Popeye the Slasher Man.
Oh my god.
So the premise is there's a plant that used to, it's a spinach packing plant. And so I guess this guy and his friends, because there's always been this legend of the Sailor Man, right? So they're going to go investigate to see if this legend about the Sailor Man is true. And of course they go, and then I don't know what causes it. The Sailor Man shows up and starts killing people. So I guess this is my question for you all. How do you feel about that? I mean, they're taking these great characters from yesteryear who had absolutely nothing to do with, violence or killing, and now just making these terrible, ridiculous movies, depicting them as like these psychotic killers and things like that. I mean, what do you think? What do you think, Mario? I mean,
I'm gonna go see it like I went and saw Snow White. Oh wait, I didn't see Snow White. Yeah, no. And it got great reviews, right? No. Why do they have to pervert it? It's just.
Agree. That's the question. Why?
Yeah. So.
Jeff.
Gee, you didn't mention the banana splits.
That was terrible. Oh my god!
They did a banana split one.
Yeah, that was so bad. Oh my gosh! You know what I think this is coming from? I'll share this. Then I'm coming to you, Gigi.
Okay.
I know there was a game, and it's honestly, it's a pretty scary game. It's a survival game that came out a few years ago, and I know they made the movie was trash, but the game is really scary, called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh my god!
So
yes.
So basically, the whole premise is you're a security guard that works at this. It's like Chuck E. Cheese, but the problem is, for whatever reason, at nighttime, the animatronics like come to life and they become like psychotic. So what makes the game so difficult, there's not a lot of power in this location at nighttime. So you have to switch power from the cameras. You have to switch power to the locks on the office that you're in to make sure, okay, I see the monsters in the hallway. Let me make sure I lock the door so they have enough power so when they try to open the door, they can't get. I mean, it's a scary game. It's a genuinely scary game. But again, the movie was just next level. Flaming garbage.
Nick Cage did one earlier that had pretty much the same premise. I can't remember the title.
I know what you're talking about.
But he goes into a place to clean it at night, and all the animatronics come to life, and then they have like a group of 4 or 5 people who break into this facility for some reason, and they all get killed, and he walks out of the building in the morning, with the girl.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you say, Gigi?
I mean, I feel like they do these, shocking movies to get shock value out of the audience. I feel like everyone responds better to that. And again, it's a cash grab. I think everything's just a cash grab at this point. But that's honestly just my opinion.
And then they also have this other one that's coming out. This comes out this year if it hasn't come out already. It's called Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. And the overview, Wendy Darling encounters a twisted Tinkerbell
Yeah.
Oh no, this is already out. It's already out.
Okay.
It says Winnie Darling encounters a twisted Tinkerbell as she tries to rescue her brother Michael from the evil clutches of Peter Pan. So for Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a Rotten Tomatoes score of a 48. But as I've learned from Gigi, I go to IMDb now,
Yes,
which gives it a 5.9 out of 10.
it's average.
Yeah. They did a Bambi horror movie last year, Bambi the Reckoning. This year, it's a Pinocchio horror movie coming out, Pinocchio Unstrung.
God.
I don't know, man. You know what? I don't know. I feel funny about that. Like I say, them taking these characters that were like innocent, you know what I mean? Now, granted, Peter Pan really does have a a really dark story. Other than what we see, like the Disney movie, Peter Pan is really dark because you notice like it's all those kids there, and like they don't ever leave. Well, I mean, I know they did, like Wendy and them left, but for the most part, Peter Pan would kill them kids if they tried to leave. He wanted to keep them there with them. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Peter Pan, yeah, it does kind of have a dark story behind it. So I can see it, but Winnie the Pooh and Bambi, and I don't know, man. I don't know where all this is coming from, because these movies they're not really good movies, to be honest with you.
If you wanna hear something about Winnie the Pooh, Bob and Tom did a skit a few years ago, and it's I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes long, and you can find it on YouTube, and it's called Pooh Goes Apeshit.
Yeah.
And if you want to see Winnie the Pooh through different eyes, listen to this. But it is kind of raw, and there are discussions of sex and violence and drug use. So if you are easily offended, please do not listen to it. But if you're like me, it's funnier than hell.
I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's because they do just such a terrible job, on these movies. There's I'm trying to pull it up now. It's a Charlie Brown apocalypse story I read about. It's a cartoon. Oh yeah, it's called Weapon Brown, right? So Charlie Brown is grown. All the other characters are grown. This is the overview of it. Okay, it says the story features parodies of the cast of Peanuts, as well as a number of parody objects and settings set in a post-apocalyptic world, and drawn in a darker, more adult style, as directed in direct contrast to the more innocent style used by Charles M. Schulz. The one shot also includes a backup feature, A Weapon Brown Christmas, which shows a story set sometime before the events of a Peanuts scorn. And it's dark, but I don't want to say it's tongue in cheek, but it's kind of tongue in cheek, right? I don't think it takes itself too seriously. My problem with these other movies that they're coming out with, these horrible other movies, I don't think that they're trying to do it tongue in cheek. I genuinely think that, hey, let's make Mickey Mouse. Oh my gosh, I swear I can't tell you how bad that movie is.
There's one out right now that's called The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie. And that's really dark. I haven't gone.
Is it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's one of those twisted, and I think, really? Looney Tunes too? When you said the Mickey Mouse, I said, yeah, they it's one of those apocalyptic, destroy everything, and it's not in a cartoon fashion for kids,
When they decide to do like a Davy and Goliath horror movie, because I hated Davy and Goliath growing up. So you're gonna give that dog that talking dog a knife and tell him to kill everybody in the neighborhood, yeah, I'm gonna be, yeah, you go.
Or what if they do it like John Wick, like somebody kills Goliath and Davy goes after him?
Hey, anything. And then maybe you could have like a message at the end of it, kids, let this be a lesson to you. Please don't kill.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we'll see what other great movie gems are going to churn out in the next couple years or so with all these great characters. But
well, when I was growing up, they had a lot of these. I'm going to call them like romance comics. Like Millie the Model, and
Archie.
All these kind of things.
Yeah.
Maybe we could go, when I get to be like that woman in California who just won like $700 million in the lottery out there.
Wow.
I'm gonna write a movie for Gigi like that, and we're gonna call it like Gigi the Model, and we're gonna have. I couldn't even get it out. I'm sorry. We could have her like navigating the dating world, and she could be like like a killing machine on a date or something.
No. Me and her already. Gigi already gave me a Mario, and we're already working on a horror movie already.
Genius, Jeff. Genius.
Yeah, we're already working on a horror movie. With the dating thing, we're already working on that. So that'll be like the sequel or something.
They had that movie a few years ago, Killing Eve, where there was a I want to say mannequin, but that's not the right word. Like a robot or an android, and she was meant to be a weapon of war, and she gets out and she's killing people. So it could be something like that,
Okay. Well, let's move on to our last subject today. Director Neil Blomkamp is going to reboot an adaptation of the 1959 novel, and they already made a movie, for Starship Troopers with Columbia Pictures for Sony. So, what do you think about this, Jeff? I guess it's going to be a reboot of the Starship Troopers franchise. I remember the original movie that first came out was actually pretty good, but then the ones that followed were just like, they weren't that great.
Yeah,
but the original one was really good. So what do you think? They're going to reboot this? And honestly, I didn't know that Starship Troopers even came from a 59 novel. I didn't know that. So what do you think about them rebooting it?
Well, I had just read, I'm not really much of a sci-fi guy. I'm more of a horror guy. But I did recently finish Heinlein's Starship Troopers. So I've read the original book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, enjoyed it. I mean, he had some kind of authoritarian themes about government and this future world that didn't sit well with me. But like the book, like the movie, I've seen the movie probably 4 or 5 times with I can't think of the fellow's name, as
Van Diem.
Johnny Rico, I think was his character's name in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Liked the movie. I would like to see it again. There were 1 or 2 direct-to-video sequels, as they used to be called.
Right.
And, less said about those, the better.
Right.
But I would like to see a reboot.
Okay. What say you, Mario?
Again, the reboot, like I always question, is there no more imagination out there? Because when that was created, what was it, in the mid-90s?
Yeah.
That everybody's thought process, producers or directors, kind of stopped in the mid-90s, and then everything's kind of like reboot here recently. I'm sure there's opportunities galore. And if you were going down that right, and I don't know if you consider that like it's not a horror, science movie, is it? Do we consider it? No, because you don't.
No, it's just a science fiction.
Yeah, okay, like science fiction. How many science fiction novels aren't there out there? I mean, so like something, something. I know they'll adapt it and change a couple of things and maybe a character or two, but come out with something more novel than that. You know what I'm saying? That's what I saw the Starship Troopers also, and like you said, the following ones were kind of no, I don't think I saw the third, or if there was even a fourth one. The second one was going, oh my God, really? So the first one was an original one. That's fine. Now, if she plans to do the first and maybe a couple more, I don't know how that'll go. I think there's a lot, especially in the sci-fi world. There are volumes and volumes of sci-fi novels that haven't been touched on.
That's true. That's true.
And you remember, we're talking about, from the early 50s to current, in regards to sci-fi novels. So, I don't know. Would it appeal again like it did originally? I don't know. I hope they do. But here's another one that I'm going to wait until, one of you all go see it, and I'll say, okay. Because why would I? It's kind of like chewing the same gum again. Okay, you put a little sugar on it and chew it again. Not me. Give me a new gum. So,
what do you say, Gigi, about this reboot?
Listen. So I only have a problem with reboots if it was the rebooting an original movie. You guys are mentioning that this was a book originally, right?
It was. Originally, it came out in 1959, Starship Troopers, but then they eventually made it in the 90s. They made a movie. And then, as Jeff said, they had I think 3 or 4 follow-up movies that came after that.
Well, then it's just an adaptation then. Because, I mean, if it was a book, and I guess there was a movie in the 90s, I don't know, I don't really see an issue with it. There's plenty of animes out there that, there's a manga, and then there's different series, they're adapting the manga. So that's what I'm saying. They don't have an issue with it. I mean,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully Neil Blomkamp makes some decent movies. So, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Oh, the only thing that does have me kind of scratching my head, who is at the end, like I say, it's going to be for Sony Pictures.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's my only apprehension right there. For Sony Pictures,
all the characters will have Walkmans.
Yeah, I know. It'll be just wow. How many times are we going to fall asleep on that one? Well, hopefully not. Neil Blomkamp makes some good, decent movies, so we'll go from there. All right, so let's close this out with our question of the week. The question of the week is: name a horror movie that's come out within the past 30 years that was genuinely scary to you, that you really thought it was a scary movie. So it had to be something that's come out within the past 30 years that you thought was really scary. I'll start.
Okay.
For me, it has to be the very first original Blair Witch Project.
Ooh,
I know when that movie came out in 1999. So I remember all the hype for that movie, right? I was like, oh, I got to see this movie. And my wife, she doesn't like horror movies. She doesn't. But, I said, come on, I want to see this movie. And we went to go see it. Now, when we left the theater, she was like, I think that was the stupidest movie I've ever seen in my life, which is the overall consensus of most people who've ever seen it. But when I saw that movie, I'm going to tell you, I don't think I got 10 minutes worth of sleep that night. I was so freaked out. And it was about 2 weeks even after that, I was still like, it was just a movie. Because I remember Sci-Fi Channel had even done this documentary. It seemed so legitimate, this documentary where they were, interviewing all these people around the Black Hills and, you know, residents there who had their stories of things they've seen and people who disappeared. And the actors, and I only remember the name of one, Heather Donahue was one of them that played, they used their names in the movie, Heather. They even had the actors go and like hide. You know, after the movie came out, they never came to the premieres just to make it seem authentic, like this was a really found footage documentary of people who disappeared, you know, researching this witch. So to this day, I still refuse to watch that. I will not watch that movie again. I still get freaked out thinking about it. I will never watch that movie again. So who's next up? Name a movie that's come out in the past 30 years that it genuinely scary to you.
Ooh, you're not gonna like my answer, Ron.
Tell me.
Hereditary 2018.
Oh man. Oh, really?
Yes, it was so terrifying. You know, like the shadowy people in the background. Like it made me jump. Like I got sleep. The whole overall message of the movie, it was just scary to me. I don't know you guys.
I lost sleep for Hereditary because I was like, I could have spent that $15 on something worth something, man. That's why I couldn't sleep that night, man. Yeah, but I know a lot of people say that they thought it was a scare. I didn't. I need the cliff notes for that movie because I'm still like, what? I still don't understand everything in that movie. I saw it and I was like, okay, I don't get everything.
I got one day with the cliff notes.
Okay, so what say you, Mario? A horror movie that's come out within the past 30 years that genuinely you thought was a scary movie?
Well, okay, and here I go. Trying to make a retraction. It was actually a remake. Now,
okay.
The first one that it came out, I can't recall what year it came out, and it was Silence of the Lamb.
Oh, yeah.
That one, I slept with my gun under my pillow, to be honest. They hung those cups and eviscerated them, and then they had Hannibal.
Right.
But I remember seeing the original movie, which was in the mid '80s. It was called what was it called?
Something Hunter, wasn't it?
Manhunter, and that was a movie created by Michael Mann, who did Miami Vice and did a lot of stuff. So they came out. It was called Red Dragon, and
right.
I watched it, but I liked it, and it's scary because it's real close to life. Starred Ed Norton. And, he's the detective or police officer that is, following the killer. Okay. And you read today's headline, wasn't there somebody arrested or put to death for eating somebody after he killed him or something to that effect,
Cannibalism is fairly common in serial crimes. You can go back to Ed Gein.
Yeah, Ed Gein. Yeah. All those folks, there are folks that, you're saying, wait a second, this could actually happen, and when you see the movie Ed Norton and the guy goes to his house, yeah, so you're saying, how many times doesn't that happen? And it's not, glorified in the media and stuff like that, but things like that do happen. And in the back of my head, it goes, yeah, damn, it's too close. So even though I'm no longer in that field, but you still, there are folks that are evil outside, that ruin anybody's day and family in a blink of an eye,
That's true.
I guess they're, what are they called when they have no soul or they're soulless, where
sociopath?
Yeah, well, sociopath, that have no compassion for anything or themselves. So,
or psychopath.
Yeah, exactly.
I ate Mario's liver with a nice Chianti.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Jeff, what's your horror movie that's come out within the past 30 years that you genuinely thought was a scary movie?
I'm going to give my answer in the form of a movie quotation.
Okay.
What's in the box?
Oh, 7. Yeah. 7.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. You see it?
Wow. No, I've never seen it.
Are you kidding me?
Oh.
No, I've never seen 7. I know what it's about, but I've never seen it.
Gigi?
Never seen it.
Are you in the kitchen?
Yeah.
You're echoing.
Millennials, I'm telling.
Well, okay, yeah. So there we go. That's our nightmare fuel. But I'll check it out. I'll check Seven out. I've got a list of movies people just telling me, older movies people were telling me about recently. I got to check out. So that'll be one of them I put on my list. Well, that being said, I want to thank my co-hosts for the show. Again, I want to apologize to our listeners for our time off. But hey, look. COVID hit me. What can I do? And I do apologize for the delay in our putting out our episodes, but we are back and we will continue cranking these episodes out. I want to thank my co-host, Mr. Mario Lazo, Gigi Garcia, and Mr. Jeff McIntosh. Thank you all again, and we will see you later. Thank you, and good night.
Good night, y'all.
Bye.
Night.
Night.